What's happening, guys, and welcome back to another Construct tutorial. I'm your host BlitzConX, and today we're going to be looking at this little bow effect and how you can implement it in your games. But before I start, I just want to give a big shout out to Vimlock. For those of you that don't know, great YouTuber that gave me a shout out. I encourage you to go check out his channel, making some awesome stuff as well as his awesome game. He gave me a shout out. Really appreciate the love. So cool to see communities come together and always look out for one another. So I encourage you to go and have a look at his channel. He's got some really awesome content. Right, so with further ado, we're going to hop over straight into Construct 3. For those of you that don't have it, you can go get it over at the Construct website. They do have a trial version, and I do know that a lot of these tutorials will also work with the Construct 2. I get that asked quite often, so just make sure that you make use of that as well. So I'm going to just pull that across, and we're going to get started. So as always, I like to prep the scene that condenses the videos a little bit. So on the right hand side, you're going to see I've got my animation. I'm going to just show you what the layout page looks like. Very simple. Added the platformer and I pinned the animation to it. So as you can see, very simple little animation, but we're going to add a bow effect to this. So first thing we're going to need to do is hop over onto our event sheet, obviously, and you can see I've got my animation, my bow. I've just added some of these effects. I'll put this in the description down below as well. Or you can just make them, they're really simple, just little, pixel animation opposed to anything else. So the first thing we're going to need to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on my bow, which is a simple sprite, and I'm going to go and add a few behaviors to it. So I'm going to click over, click behavior. I'm going to add a new one, and I'm going to use the assign behavior at first. So this just gives it that effect, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and just add that behavior to it. And this allows me then to have this property on the left hand side. So if I click on bow now, you'll see that I've got these properties that I can then obviously go ahead and set. Now you'll notice that this is locked. In Construct 2 this was open. You have to go and place the object to actually get that to work. So over onto an objects, you could say layout page, which is what I normally like to do. You can then go ahead and set that. So yeah, you can see I'm just going to drop it in over here at the top, and then this allows me to then go ahead and set that accordingly. So first thing is I'm obviously going to set that to the type of movement is going to be a angle movement. So go ahead and look for the angle. Obviously this is going to be the wave, is going to be sine. It's going to be obviously the active on the start. The period, I'm going to set this to 0.2. You can modify this as you need to. The magnitude, I'm going to go ahead and set that to 10. And then I'm going to add one last thing. I'll leave that to enable. We're going to go ahead and also just add sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and add a very simple fade. Let's have a look here quickly. Let's go ahead and add one more behavior. Let's go and add the fade behavior and go ahead and just change that. So we're going to have a fading time of 0, wait time of, let's say, about 2 seconds. Destroy, we don't necessarily have to, but we could just destroy this on fade out time. That would probably work for us, and then leave it at that, and we can leave that as enabled. Should we do that as enabled? Let's do the fade out time actually 0.3. We can have a wait time of 2 seconds. Let's do that rather. And we don't need a fading time, and that should be pretty much good to go. I'm going to just not enable that from the start. Okay, so that's my setting for my bow. So you can see I've got my settings here. Then now what I'm going to need to do is also just add what we call a bow line, which I've gone ahead and just done here. It's just a simple pixel really. So I'm going to go ahead and add another behavior here. I'm going to add the fade again, because I want this to be quite smooth. Again, you can modify this as you need to. Right, great. So we're going to have destroyed. I'll probably have that on fade out. Let's make the fade out time at 0.1, and we'll make this active from start. So that's fine. Fantastic. Right, and then I've got a bow point, which is really the point on which we will detect if it hits an object. So we'll leave that there. So once you've gone ahead and prepped those sprites, we jump straight back onto our event sheet, and we can begin the you could say placing of the events and the actions. So yeah, you can see made a new group called bow. So yeah, I'm going to drop it in, and we'll probably just use the button X for now to sort of simulate that attack. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a new event. I'm going to click on my bow. I'm going to go on created. So we're going to go on created, and then I'm going to use a few things. So we're going to go ahead and just wait. Let's use the wait signal. Let's wait 0.4 seconds. I'm going to go ahead then and set the sign, which is going to be of the bow itself. So here we're going to go bow. Let's go to the sign. Let's set that accordingly. That'll probably be inactive. So let's set the sign to inactive, to disabled. Because remember, it's now enabled this current state. So we're going to go ahead and just set that to inactive. And then we're going to go ahead and set the bow's angle to 0. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of a hit and miss. I haven't done this in a while. Let's go ahead and set the angle. So let's go ahead and just say angle. Bear with me, guys. Using all the different engines, you often can get so confused of where everything is at. Right, so there we go. Bow uncreated, system, wait 4 seconds, and obviously set the sign to disabled. Right, that's perfect. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to add a new event. I'm going to go system, and then drop the while. Come on, while, and that'll be our first condition. And then we're going to go bow point, which is this bow point here. So we're going to go add another condition. Add another condition. We're going to go bow point is not. So we're going to do an invert here. So we go is overlapping with another object. And in this case, I'm going to use the tile map that I've got set. Okay. So tile map. This is my walls. This will be solids or whatever objects that you have or don't have, etc. This is really what that is. So if it's overlapping, I'm going to invert this, or my inverts obviously. So we're going to go while each one, obviously it'll loop through that, and then obviously one more which I want to use is the bow point at another condition, and another condition, and this is going to be my bow point is outside the layout. So let's go layout, it's outside the layout, invert that as well, and then we can go ahead and set the sub conditions, a sub event, and yeah, we're going to go if the animation is mirrored. So I just want to make sure it turns the right way correctly, is mirrored. And then what we're going to want to do here is we're going to forward. We're going to basically, in this case, have the bow point move forward, and we're going to use a -1 pixel. Okay, so move forward -1. And then the bow line, so we're going to add another one, the bow line, and yeah, we're going to set the width. Show what this looks like. Set the width. Now this, we're going to set the width to the distance of, so we're going to go distance, self, of him being himself, obviously dot x, and then we're going to go to the self.y obviously. Maybe just use tab to progress faster through it than having to type it all out. And then we're going to use the bow point .x, and then also to the bow point .y. Okay, and we're going to minus that, multiply that by -1 pixel. Yes, and then we can magnitude that to -1. Great. So we've got set width to the distance between myself and obviously the bow point, and subtracted by 1 pixel. Perfect. And then the else, obviously if he's looking the other way, let's do an else here. Add the else. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this to make this a lot easier. We're going to make that 1 pixel. I'll show you now what this does. And then obviously the bow line, we're just going to remove the -1. So self.set the width. Perfect. Right, so let's just go and add the bow point. And now we're going to spawn another object, which of course is going to be our bow. So we're going to go bow, and layers fine, and we're going to keep it at image point 0 because I've only got one layer here. Then over here, we're going to go on bow, and we're going to move to the bottom of the layer just to ensure that it is on the bottom of the layer, which is fine, layer 0. And then we're going to go bow point, and we're going to want to destroy the bow point. Okay. Right, so when it hits that, we're going to be spawning the bow. This is basically after it touches anything that I want. Right, so the next thing we need to do is add another event, and we're going to go keyboard in this case. Now I probably don't have it, so I'm probably just going to have to add it to my objects. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a new object type, and yeah, we're going to go keyboard, and I'm going to add that to the system. Now I can make use of the keyboard in the actual project. So now we're going to go ahead and use keyboard, add event, keyboard, and yeah, we're going to go basically, I'm going to use X if I'm not mistaken. Right, so we're going to go ahead here and say on X. So let's go on key pressed, or on any key, on key pressed. Let's just use X for now. Click OK. Done. So on key X, or whatever you like. If you want to use the mouse button, just go ahead and do that. We can perform the next tasks. But just coming back to the overlapping, if we've got this on overlapping, I want to just ensure that I trigger this only once. So I want to just add another sub condition here, just have a look at it. Otherwise it's going to keep spawning every time the bow point reaches until the point it's destroyed. Add another condition. So let's just click here, add a sub event, and let's go system trigger once. Let's have a look here. Where is trigger once? Yeah, trigger once while true. And I'm going to move this in there. Okay, so that I know it only happens once. Then I'm going to add just one more thing. I'm going to add a sub event to this, and I'm going to go animations is mirrored. Sorry, I'm working off an old tutorial. So is mirrored, and we're going to go bow, and we're going to go set this to mirrored, obviously. So I've just got to remember all the little bits. It's been a while since I've done it. Or else turn it around, and then we're going to go bow not mirrored. Okay, and we're going to go not mirrored. Fantastic. Right, so we go back to the keyboard. So now here we're going to need to do the animation. So obviously on keyboard pressed, I'm going to go and add a sub event, add another sub event. In fact, I can just do it in the actual keyboard press. So let's go ahead here and say the animations, and now we want to go and play obviously the animation that correlates to the bow. So here we're going to go set the animation. Let's have a look at animation, play animation, I think it is. Lock. Here we go, set animation, and we're going to set this to the bow animation. I'm going to play that from the beginning. Now, bearing in mind, in my current animations, I've got two. Usually I've got the idle and I've got the bow. So I'm saying play the bow animation. Let's just go and have a look and see what that looks like. If we go here. Right, so there it is. It's a little bit slow, but I'm not going to worry about the speed as of, actually, let me just set the speed to make it look a little bit more seamless. So let's make that 8 or 9. Okay, and we're not going to make that a loop. So it's got to play and then obviously finish. Okay, so on X pressed, go ahead and do that. Then we're going to add another event, and this is going to be the animations on bow and on animation finished. So let's go and have a look at the animation on any finished. Let's go to that one on animation finished. Then let's go ahead and go back to idle state, presumably. So let's go and set the animation back to idle. Okay, that is the one we have. Idle, and then over here, while the animation's playing, let's add event. Animations is playing. So let's have a look for that. Let's have a look. Where is animation? Is playing. Is playing. And we're going to go with the bow because we're in that one. Let's then go to how many frames have we got? So we've got 2. So on frame 2, we're going to go in, spawn the bow line. So on animation is playing. Let's add a sub event, add another condition. Sorry. Like I said, when you're swapping and changing engines, you sometimes get so used to the one. Add a sub event, and we're going to go to the animations, and we're going to on frame compare frame. Compare frame is equal to 2, we said. So 0 being the first, 2, as well as only trigger once. Add another condition. Let's go system. Let's type in once. Then go animations, spawn spawn another object, which will be the bow line. And that would need to be, okay, so I haven't set the origin point yet, so let's just work with that and see what it looks like. And then at the same time, I'm going to spawn the bow point. So let's go ahead and spawn the bow point. I had to just pause the videos there because I had to go and add the right and left arrows so that we can move accordingly. So let's recap our code. So currently once the bow is created, the actual object that sticks to the wall, we go and give it an effect, a sign effect that looks like it's bending, you know, as if it's hit it and it's got that little bit of movement to the arrow. Set the degrees. Obviously we wait a couple of seconds before we set the degrees. Here we're basically checking to ensure that we are not collided with the tile map or outside of the layout. Yeah, then once we spawn, once the bow line is moving, you could say we set the width from us as a player, meaning the self, which is the animation, because the animation fires it off. So in other words, I'm measuring 1 pixel from me to the point that it hits the wall. I'm making a line, so it has a trail effect. Okay, and then if I'm turning the other way, so if I'm right, I'm turning 1 pixel. If I'm turning left, I'm minusing 1 pixel. Okay, I'll show you what that looks like now. So that's how we set the bow line theoretically. Then on the bow point, once this is overlapping something, that's the little you could say the target, if you want to call it that. Then we go and we spawn the bow, and this is then when this is fired off. So once the bow's sort of created, it fires this off, obviously. Once mirrored, obviously that's just, you know, turning left or right. Keyboard is the action to which we start the animation. When the animation's finished, we go back to idle, and when it's playing, we go and we spawn the bow line as well as the point, if that makes sense. Okay, so very simple to understand that we are spawning as the animation is playing, and I selected the second frame. So finally, we can go have a look what that looks like. So I've created, you can see a little bubble. So here's my left and right player. If I press X, there you can see nice animation. Jump up over here, turn there. It's nice animation. Now I need to obviously set the origin. It's slightly off a little bit. There's no wall there, so if we shoot there you can see the little arrow, and there's the arrow. You'll notice that the arrow was slightly higher than the line. That's only because of the origin points over onto the actual bow. We've got these little origin points over here. Mine's slightly higher. I need to set that lower. Right guys, so that is it for the tutorial. If there's anything that you don't understand, please hit me up in the comments below and I'll help you with it. But really simple, as I said, we've got nothing. This is all that's in the event sheet. We've got a left to right. We're pinning the animation to the player. Yeah, on the bow created, we give it a little bit of a behavior theoretically on the bow itself. We check it to make sure that's not overlapped so that we can begin the line. If the animation is facing left, -1 pixel, we set the width from it and then we fade it out, which is on the bow line. We've got a fade here that sets it to 0.1. If I set this to 1, you'll notice that the bow line stays longer. So let's go and have a look what that looks like. So if I go there, you'll see the bow line takes long. Okay, so we obviously set that as short as possible so that it's not off. Right guys, I hope you enjoyed it. As always, thanks so much for the love and the feedback, and if there's anything, please read us out. But always remember, it's a jungle out there, so be safe, and if you could hit the subscribe, that'll always be pretty awesome. But as always guys, we'll catch you in the next one.